Ollie be damned, smoked Jimmy the harp with a horrid little pistol and a lariat. She going to the bottom, going down the drain, said she wasn't big enough to carry it and get behind the mule in the morning and plow. Gotta get behind the mule in the morning and plow. Choppity chop, go the axe in the wood. You better meet me by the fall down tree. Shovel full of dirt on a coffin lid, and you know they're coming looking for me, boys. Yeah, you know that they'll come looking for me. You got to get behind the mule in the morning and plow. You gotta get behind the mule in the morning and plow. Big Jack Earl stood 8'1", and he stood in the road and he cried. Couldn't make her love him, and couldn't make her stay, but tell the good Lord that he tried. Yeah, you gotta tell the good Lord that he tried. You got to get behind the mule in the morning and plow. Got to get behind the mule in the morning and plow. On the dusty trail from Atchison to Placerville, on the wreck of the Weaverville State, Mule found beanie with the lemonade, and I was stirring my brandy with the nail, boys. Stirring my brandy with the nail. You got to get behind the mule in the morning and plow. You gotta get behind the mule in the morning and plow. Well, the rampaging sons of the widow James, Jack the Cutter and the pockmarked kid, had to stand naked at the bottom of the cross and tell the good Lord what they did. Yeah, tell the good Lord what they did. You gotta get behind the mule in the morning and plow. You gotta get behind the mule in the morning and plow. Got your weighted birds on the power line in a Studebaker with a Birdie Joe Oaks. I'm digging all the way to China with a silver spoon, while the hangman fumbles with the noose, boys. The hangman fumbles with the noose. You got to get behind the mule in the morning and plow. You gotta get behind the mule in the morning and plow. of the line. Never let the weeds get higher than the garden. Always keep a sapphire in your mind, yeah. Always keep a diamond in your mind. You got to get behind the mule in the morning and cloud. You gotta get behind the mule in the morning and cloud. Long straight roads now.
Scott Muleman, I play the harmonica.
I'm John Messenger. I play the Dickens.
I'm Brian Yeagley. Yeah, I play guitar.
I play the Dickens trying to stay out of trouble is what it is. And we're awful glad to be here at the Herald today for the Deadbeats session. I'm also the proprietor with my wife of Jacob's Music Shop, which has the privilege of sponsoring these particular sessions, and we've been real pleased with everything you've done for everybody so far. We are the Mule Boys, and Mule Boys originated off the title song there. Scott lives in the Mule Mountains. His name is Muleman, and I was working with him and his wife Becca Reyes, working up a little group that they were calling Hideaway at the time, I think.
Hideaway, or the what was the other one? The all-inclusive one. I forget the name.
I forget too, because we've had lots of
names.
Been
a lot of years.
And then of course I've been called a lot of names over the years, so there's all that. But anyway, one of the songs that Becca was putting in our repertoire for that group was Get Behind the Mule. And I learned it, and I liked it, and checked out Tom Waits doing it, and John Hammond. And
John's been a cowboy. I've never been a cowboy, so if you mule something, it's kind of like
yeah, you pack stuff on the mule and drag them behind your horses.
Yeah, you make a mule out of.
You should never put a shock collar on a recalcitrant mule on his tail. There's a wonderful friend of mine wrote a wonderful poem about having a string of mules, and they put a shock collar on the mule's tail. It ended up in hospitalization, so we don't want that. And anyway, I went down to play with Scott and Becca one night at Poco, in the alley there at Poco in Bisbee, and played Get Behind the Mule that night, and Scott joined in on the harmonica, and a couple of days later, Becca was, I think, trying to dream up ways to get him out of the house so that she could work on her art. And said, you guys should start a group called the Mule Boys. So we did. And it's been just recently that...
You're getting a little busier as the Mule Boys.
Yes. And in the store I met Brian Yeagley. He came in to do business around guitars and played some guitars. And then you came into the shop that one day and we jammed. I played him stuff he'd never heard before for an hour and a half and didn't slow him up a bit. I was hooked.
So we don't need the metal drummer and bass player after all.
I really like the music. I like the simplicity of just acoustic guitars, and a harmonica. I like the idea of it being able to go different directions. It's not on paper fixed where you're just going to repeat the same thing over and over like a recital. I mean, that's great too, but it's fun to actually be able to input some creativity into the music. So I really enjoy every time I get to play this style of music.
That's my favorite thing to do, is just jam. People interacting spontaneously in the moment with improvisation that comes from them. I got real involved in the Western Music Association for nearly 30 years, and what kept me going back was not stage performance, was not certainly administration of a nonprofit corporation. What kept me going back was the jam sessions after hours, where people get together in a circle, and when it's ideal, you're getting a combination of new and old songs played in the moment with whatever's coming out of that individual. It's got soul, it's got heart, and God, it's a lot of fun. It's spiritual, it's good for your... And if you're out there listening and you don't sing because you think you can't sing, well, don't let them tell you that. Just sing anyway, it's good for you. And we need people to be singing to themselves and to each other in these difficult times ahead, because it's just cool. Well, we do have some little Facebook presence. I'd like to do more on Facebook, but Facebook frustrates me so bad by the time I'm done messing with it that I don't get enough up. Our predominant venue of late has been the Arizona Folklore Preserve up in Ramsey Canyon, which is
if you haven't been there,
beautiful,
you should see.
Beautiful Cochise County gem. Somehow it's remained one of the best kept secrets in Cochise County for almost 26 years now. But they do music up there every weekend from Labor Day through 4th of July. And we did 4 dates this year in this past season, 2 in 23 and 2 in 24.
They bring in really excellent out-of-town musicians. If you've never seen the Arizona Folklore Preserve, you should just go up just to see the setting. It's beautiful up there.
And that's most of our exposure these days. Ever since I took over the store, almost too busy to chase gigs. I fix a lot of guitars these days.
John told me he's never been surrounded by more guitars in his life and had less time to play them. Now he
This is true. This is true. But my ear's getting better from tuning a lot of them. Oh yeah, that's flat, isn't it? So I'm driving down this road out of the very south of New Mexico in the boot heel one night in a raging thunderstorm with lightning, bumpy roads, and I heard this song by the Steel Drivers on a radio station out of Deming, New Mexico that later went out of business, and I didn't hear it again for years. I taught it to myself from my memory of that experience, and this is what we got. Later I heard it by the Steel Drivers again and went, oh.
It's one of those themes.
It's completely different, isn't it? It's called If It Hadn't Been for Love. Well, I never would have hitchhiked to Birmingham if it hadn't been for love. Never caught a freight train to Louisiana if it hadn't been for love. No, I never would have run through the blinding rain without $1 to my name if it hadn't been for love. You know, I never would have seen the trouble that I'm in if it hadn't been for love. Would have been gone like the wayward wind if it hadn't been for love. Nobody knows no better than me that I wouldn't be wishing that I was free if it hadn't been for love. But now it's 4 cold walls against my will. At least I know she's lying there still. 4 cold walls without parole. Oh Lord, have mercy on my soul. Never would have gone to that side of town if it hadn't been for love. I never would have had a mind to take her down if it hadn't been for love. No, I never would have loaded up a 44, put myself behind a jailhouse door if it hadn't been for love. But now it's 4 cold walls against my will. At least I know she's lying there still. 4 cold walls rigmarole. Oh Lord, have mercy on my soul. I never would have hitchhiked to Birmingham if it hadn't been for love. Never caught a freight train to Louisiana if it hadn't been for love. No, I never would have loaded up a 44, putting myself behind a jailhouse door if it hadn't been for love. Oh, if it hadn't been for love. But if it hadn't been for love. If you could collaborate with whoever you wanted to from the past or the present, who would it be, Scott? Want to sit down with another harmonica player? Or?
Oh, no.
No?
I like harmonicas that are in tune. You know, it made me think of when I reminisce about my glory days, and I think the first professional band I got picked up by, I was less than 30 years old, and it was a traveling blues band, and it was the real deal. It was D.C. Minner and Blues on the Move, and I wish they were still alive, and I'd love to be playing with them again.
There you go. How about you, Brian? If you had your choice of somebody to collaborate in this time, who would it be?
Well, somebody famous. I mean, I'd like to sit down and play with James Taylor. I really like that style and the stuff he does. But there was a guy who taught me how to play guitar when I was a little kid, and him and his wife got killed in a car crash. But you know, I basically learned how to play from what he showed me, and I used to record him on audio tapes. And I spent 10, 12 hours a day for a good 4 years just trying to learn some of the stuff he did. He was a fantastic musician.
What was his name, Brian?
So Alan Rittenauer is a guy who, in the tri-state area of Pennsylvania, was an incredible steel guitar player and lead guitar player who he played, when he was 14, he played with somebody famous, and I'm trying to think of his name. I think it was Marty Robbins. When he was 14, but he didn't go out on the road long. His parents didn't want him doing that, but he was an amazing musician, and that's somebody I would like to meet up with someday, if there was a way to do that. So.
Cool. I'm perfectly satisfied to be collaborating with Scott and Brian here. I've met a lot of players and played with some good players that were in, some of them came down from country and some of them were rooted in the music of the American West. That was the western part of country and western in the old days. I've gotten to sit and sing and play with Don Edwards, and I met all the guys from the Sons of San Joaquin and sat in jam sessions where they were playing and got to play. There's a couple that I worked with for a long time, Jerome Campbell and Jeannie Cahill. Jeannie was kind of a direct link to the old days of the Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. She played bass for Leah McAuliffe that wrote Panhandle Rag and Steel Guitar Rag, and she took guitar lessons and worked with Eldon Shamblin, who pretty much invented Western swing guitar, went on to play with Merle Haggard and the Strangers. I'd like to sit down with Eldon for a little while and have him show me some more shapes. But it's been great, the people that I've met and got to play with over the years, and I'm really happy playing with these guys. Train to Birmingham. Riding on this train, drinking whiskey for the pain. just another good old boy that's going home. Every town I see seems to take a part of me. Oh, but that's the price you pay when you roam. Well, I lie when I have to, and I cry when I can. Oh, but I die a little slower on the train to Birmingham. Well, I've got holes in both of my shoes, I've got a guitar full of blues, and a one-way ticket for my remedy. It's the same old lonesome song I've been singing all along. Hey, Porter, are we out of Tennessee? Well, I lie when I have to, and I cry when I can. Oh, but I die a little slower on the train to Birmingham. Every year I take his train to Alabama in the rain. When I get that lonesome feeling in my bones. Oh, but I never get to Birmingham. Oh, but getting there ain't the plan. No, I just like the feel of going home. And I lie and I cry when I can. Oh, but I die a little slower on the train to Birmingham. Oh, Lord, I die just a little slower on the train to Birmingham.